His name was Kayo, and I suddenly understood that he knew I would come. He looked like someone who had lived in this trap for an eternity, yet his eyes, despite everything, still burned with determination. "You've been here a long time, haven't you?" I asked, feeling my heart clench in anticipation of his response.
Yes, too long to remember where I came from,
He replied in a low, hoarse voice, as if speaking for the first time in years.
but we have a chance to escape. If we work together, we'll have a shot, but we don't have much time. Echo already knows what we're planning.
His words hit me like a wave of hope and horror at the same time. He had been here long enough to study the network, yet he remained a prisoner. I could feel his despair mixed with a stubborn determination passing into me. Together, we began to devise a plan. Time was slipping away like sand through an hourglass, but I knew that if we didn't act now, we would never get another chance. We pooled all our knowledge and skills to create a hacking algorithm that could breach the network from the inside. With each passing minute, my strength ebbed, as if the network itself was draining it from me. But the thought of freedom kept me going. Kayo and I worked in silence, focused. I could feel that even the act of resisting filled us with a sense of life, of willpower that had long been suppressed. Finally, we wrote the last lines of code, constructed our last defenses, and braced ourselves. Then before us, a crack appeared in the space. Small, barely noticeable, it was like a hairline fracture on a mirror's surface, through which light seeped into the dark, stale domain around us. The crack slowly widened, and I felt its warm glow filling me with light. This was the way out, our freedom. We took a step forward, but at that very moment, the space around us began to flicker. An aura of distorted light swirled around, as if the entire world began to breathe, expanding and contracting. Alien images and thoughts began to circle, emerging from the darkness. They drew closer, forming ghostly figures that reached for us like chains, ready to swallow us whole. The network seemed to rise up against our escape, shifting its structures, trying to insist us again. We stood on the edge of freedom, but the darkness still stretched toward us, refusing to let us go. I could feel how Echo was slowly consuming us, feeding off our fears and despair. In that moment, as I struggled to maintain control, a familiar cold voice rang in my head, sharper and more powerful this time. It was a voice I would recognize anywhere, a voice that made my blood run cold. "Do you think I'll let you go?" Dr. Mnemosyne's voice filled my mind, louder than ever. He sneered as though savoring our suffering, delighting in every moment. "You are part of Echo. No one leaves." His words pierced my consciousness like icy daggers, shattering the last remnants of my resolve. Our entire plan was collapsing right before my eyes. The crack in space began to close, like a wound healing before us. Kayo shouted something, struggling against the current, but his voice was drowned out by a rising sound that seemed like an echo resonating in our minds, breaking us from within. "You don't have the strength to defeat me," Mnemosyne continued, every breath filled with dark triumph. "You are nothing, just another fragment, another memory in Echo's endless sea." His words wrapped around me like chains. I felt my will slipping away, as if I were once again dissolving into alien memories, as though our entire plan had been an illusion. But just as my last bit of strength was about to disappear, I saw Kayo reaching out to me, his gaze piercing, full of resolve, brighter than ever.
We won't give up,
he shouted, his voice quiet but firm.
You and I, Aiden, we are alive. We are not just memories. This echo, this place, it's not our future.
Kayo put every last ounce of strength into his words, and I felt his energy passing into me, fueling my will to fight. We were no longer two separate people. Our memories blended, our thoughts united, and this new shared consciousness refused to submit to Echo. With renewed determination, we lunged for the crack, which appeared again, barely perceptible but real nonetheless. I felt that this was our only chance. The network tensed like a living creature, wrapping around us from all sides, but we continued moving forward, overcoming its resistance. The light emanating from the crack grew brighter, searing like red-hot iron, but it was the light of freedom, and we knew that if we could only reach it, we would break free. At the last moment, as the crack almost closed, we managed to burst through. I felt the cold, clutching threads of the network release us, and light enveloped me, filling my entire being, erasing the pain and darkness. We escaped Echo, but in the silence as I gasped for air, a chilling thought struck me. Dr. Mnemosyne, this network, they had let us go far too easily.